Hey guys, so I talk a lot about speech team in my blog, and I just wanted to show you what we here in the, United States call speech team. Alright? Okay, so I do an event called Pros, and this is my binder, and this is what I will be performing with. Okay? Alright. My parents were not the type of people who went to bed at a regular hour. Sleep overtook them, but neither the idea of time nor the idea of a mattress seemed very important. My father favored the chair in the basement, but my mother was apt to lie down anywhere, waking up with carpet burns on her face or the pattern of a sofa embossed into the soft flesh of her upper left arm. It was sort of embarrassing. The upside to being raised by what were essentially a pair of house cats was that we never had any enforced bedtime. Every night was basically a slumber party, so when the real thing came along, I failed to show much of an interest. 6th grade, a time where boys are discovering what sports they're going to play, what girls they're going to ask out, and most importantly, what's for lunch that day. David Sedaris, though, was discovering something a little bit different. Full House by David Sedaris. The first one I attended was held by a neighbor named Walt Winters. Like me, Walt was in the 6th grade. Unlike me, he was gregarious and athletic, which meant basically that we had absolutely nothing in common. But why would he invite me? I hardly know the guy, I asked my mother. She did not say that Walt's mother made him invite me, but I knew this was the only likely explanation. I tried my best to back out, because boys made me anxious. The hope was that I invented individual reasons to dislike them. The hope was that I might sound more discerning rather than frightened. But instead, I came off sounding like a prude. You're expecting me to spend the night with someone who curses? Someone who actually throws rocks at cats? You're damn right I am. Now get the hell over there. Aside from myself, there were 3 other guests at Walt's slumber party. None of them were particularly popular, but each could hold his own in a playing field or in a discussion about cars. The talk started the moment I walked through the door, and while pretending to listen, I wish I could have been a little bit more honest. What is the actual point of a football? Is the V8 engine in any way related to the juice? I wanted to ask, because, as it may have well been, they may as well have been talking backward. There are 4 different styles of houses on my street, and while Walt's was different from my own, I was familiar with the layout. The slumber party took place in what the Methodists called a family room, what the Catholics used as an extra bedroom, and what the neighborhood's only Jews turned into a combination darkroom fallout shelter. Walt's family was Methodist, so the room's focal point was a large black and white television. Family photos hung on the wall alongside pictures of various athletes. I admired them to the best of my ability, but I was more fascinated with the wedding portrait hanging above the sofa. Walt's mother looked deliriously, almost frighteningly happy. The bulging eyes and the fierce, gummy smile. It was an expression bordering on the line of hysteria, and the intervening years had done absolutely nothing to dampen it. "Pizza's here!" she chimed when the delivery man came to the door. "Oh boys, how about some piping hot pizza?" I thought it was funny that anyone would use the words piping hot in a sentence, but it wasn't the kind of thing I felt I should actually laugh at. Neither could I laugh at Mr. Winter's pathetic imitation of an Italian waiter. "Mamma mia, who wanted another slice of the pizza?" I had the idea that adults were supposed to make themselves scarce at slumber parties, but Walt's parents were all over the place, initiating games, offering snacks and refills. And when the midnight horror movie came on, Walt's mother crept into the bathroom, leaving a ketchup splatter knife beside the sink. An hour passed, and when none of us had yet discovered it, she started dropping little hints. "Oh, doesn't anyone want to go wash their hands?" You just wanted to cry for people like her. But as corny as they were, I was sorry when the movie ended and Mr. and Mrs. Winter stood to leave. She and her husband lumbered up the stairs, and when Walt felt certain that they were asleep, he pounced on Dale Gemerson, shouting, "Titty Twister!" Brad Clancy joined in, and when they had finished, Dale raised his shirt, revealing his nipples to be as crimped and ruddy as pepperoni slices. "Oh my God!" I said, realizing too late that this made me sound like a girl. The appropriate response was to laugh at Dale's misfortune, not flutter your hands in front of your face shouting, "What have they done to your poor nipples? Shouldn't we put some ice on them?" Walt picked up on this immediately.
"Did you just say you wanted to put ice on Dale's nipples?"
"Well, not me personally. I meant, generally, as a group. Or Dale could do it himself, if he felt like it." Walt's eyes wandered from my face to my chest, and then the entire slumber party was upon me. Dale had not yet regained full use of his arms, so he sat on my legs, while Brat and Scott pinned me to the carpet. My shirt was raised, a hand clamped over my mouth, and then Walt latched onto my nipples, twisting them back and forth. When I was finally freed, I went upstairs and stood against the kitchen window, my arms folded lightly across my chest. My family's house was located in a ravine. You couldn't see it from the street, but I could still make out the glow of the lights spilling out the top of the driveway. It was tempting, but were I to leave now, I would never hear the end of it. The baby cried! The baby had to go home! Life at school would be unbearable. So, I left the window and I returned to the basement, where Walt was shuffling cards against the kitchen table.
"Just in time. Have a seat."
I lowered myself to the floor and reached for a magazine, trying my best to act casual. "I'm not really much for games, so if it's okay with you, I think I'll just watch."
"Watch? Hell, this is strip poker. What kind of homo wants to sit around and watch four guys get naked?"
The logic of this was lost on me. "Well, won't we all sort of be watching?"
"Looking maybe, but not watching. There's a big difference."
To the rest of the group, a naked boy was like a lamp, or a bath mat, something so familiar and uninteresting that it faded into the background. But for me, it was different. A naked boy was what I desired more than anything on earth. And when you're both watching and desiring, things come up. One thing in particular that is bound to ruin your life forever. I hate to tell you, but it's against my religion to play poker.
"Yeah, right. What are you, Baptist?"
"Greek Orthodox?"
"Well, that's a load of crap, because the Greeks invented cards. Anyway, what your poobah doesn't know won't hurt him, so shut the hell up and play."
He dealt the cards, and I looked from face to face, exaggerating flaws and reminding myself that these boys did not like me. The hope was that I might crush any surviving atom of attraction. But, has been the case my entire life, the more someone dislikes me, the more attractive he becomes. Usually when I'm forced to compete, it was my tactic to simply give up. Here, though, surrender was not an option. I had to win at a game I knew absolutely nothing about. Which seemed hopeless until I realized we were all on equal footing. Not even Scott had the slightest idea of what he was doing, and by feigning an air of expertise, I found I could manipulate things in my favor. "A joker and a queen is much better than a 4 and a 5 of spades," I said, defending my hand against Brad Clancy's.
"I thought you said that poker was against your religion,"
Walt said. "Well, that doesn't mean I don't understand it. Greeks invented cards, remember? They're in my blood." At the start of the game, the Starburst clock had read 3:30. An hour later, I was missing one shoe. Scott and Brad had both lost their shirts, and both Walt and Dale were down to their underwear. Confidently in the lead, I invented little reasons for the undressed to get up and move about the room. "Dale, would you go make sure those curtains are closed?" He crossed the room, and I ate him alive with my eyes, confident that no one would accuse me of staring. Things might have been a little different were I in last place, but as the winner, it was my right to make sure things were done properly. "There's an open space down by the baseboard. Bend over and close it, will you?" It took a while, but after explaining that a pair of kings was no match for a 3 of spades and a 2 of hearts, Walt surrendered his underpants and tossed them into a pile behind the TV set.
Okay, I'm not the only one getting naked. You guys have to keep playing.
Well, you do what? Sit back and watch? What kind of homo are you? Walt refused to back down, so I gathered the deck and tammed it commandingly on the tabletop. The only solution is for us all to keep playing.
How the hell do you expect me to do that? In case you haven't noticed, there's nothing left for me to lose.
Oh, there's always more. Maybe if the weakest hand is already naked, we should just make that person perform some kind of task. Nothing big, just a token kind of thing.
A thing like what?
Walt asked. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to cross that bridge when we come to it. And they all shuddered beneath my winning hand. And that's Speech Team.